On April 2020, I read an article on Reddit. Well, it was a headline. The article claimed distance learning is not a new concept and that schools closed during the 1937 polio epidemic, but teachers used the amazing technology of radio to deliver the lessons. And unlike a lot of Reddit posts, this one turned out to be true. But then the epidemic was over, and students went back to their schools as usual. Nothing has changed, which made sense. Radio is not the most effective tool to teach. On March 2020, the UAE has announced a 2 weeks off from school, followed by a 2 weeks of distance learning. And all resources at that last week were dedicated to training teachers and students on the conference app they'll be using. Personally, I was excited. I was planning on spending my winter break on reading a new book, and now winter break has come sooner than expected. But little did we know. At that time, the daily cases of coronavirus cases in the UAE was less than 15. Schools around the world were closing now and going online. According to some estimates, on April of 2020, more than 1.2 billion children in 186 countries were affected by school closures. Not all children had access to education even before the pandemic, but UNESCO revealed new numbers. In a 100% digital learning environment, about 830 million students did not have access to a computer. The picture is especially bleak in low-income countries. Nearly 90% of students in sub-Saharan Africa do not have a household computer, while 82% are unable to get online. During the last year, schools adapted different methods of distance learning. Public schools in the UAE, for example, used synchronized live online sessions as an alternative. Other schools were more flexible and adapted a blended learning model, where students attended live sessions a few times a week where they'll get a face-to-face time with teachers and did their work independently the rest of the time. Teachers will provide the materials and the resources for the students to do on their own pace. Some schools eliminated live sessions altogether, provided the resources for the students, assigned them homeworks, and provided office hours for students who needed one-on-one time with their teachers. All of these methods have their advantages and disadvantages. Some news outlets went as far as to describe the last method as crisis schooling. And this brings us to the question everyone was asking during the past year. What would schools look like after the pandemic is over, under the umbrella of blended learning? But what is blended learning? Blended learning has been understood as a combination of face-to-face and technology-mediated instructional forms and practices. Blended learning represents an educational environment for much of the world where computers and the internet are readily available. It combines self-study with valuable face-to-face interaction with a teacher. Blended learning has become an umbrella term. Blended learning is also used to describe other blends, such as combining different instructional methods, pedagogical approaches, and technologies, although these blends are not aligned with influential blended learning definitions. Skater and Horn presented four models of blended learning that they argued categorized most blended learning programs across the K-12 sectors. These are: 1. The rotation model, where students rotate between learning modalities, one of which is online learning. Other modalities include full class instruction, group projects, and individual tutoring. 2. The flex model, where content is delivered primarily online and students move on an individually customized schedule. The teacher or other adults provide face-to-face support as needed through activities such as small group instruction, group projects, and individual training. 3. The self-blend model, where students take one or more online courses to supplement traditional courses. 4. The enriched virtual model, where students divide their time between attending a campus and learning remotely in an online setting. In 2005, Martin Oliver and Keith Treadwell stated, "The term blended learning is ill-defined and inconsistently used. While its popularity is increasing, its clarity is not." Under any current definition, it's either incoherent or redundant as a concept. Building a tradition of research around the term becomes an impossible project, since without common conception of its meaning, there can be no coherent way of synthesizing the findings of studies, let alone developing a consistent theoretical framework with which to interpret data. On the other hand, Rona Sherb and her colleagues view blended learning quite differently. Some institutions have developed their own language, definitions, or typologies to describe their blended practices. We suggest that this poor definition may be a strength, and part of the reason why the term is being accepted. The lack of definition allow institutions to adapt and use the term as they see fit, and to develop ownership of it. An article titled Five Major Benefits of Blended Learning written by Matthew Lynch stated these benefits. Blended learning is more efficient. Years ago, a teacher may have spent days explaining a math concept with an overhead projector. It was difficult to assess students' understanding and engagement using these dry methods. Today, blended learning can help teachers to more accurately assess the students' knowledge and help to teach concepts more efficiently. Blended learning makes education more accessible. With traditional teaching methods, educational materials were only available during classroom hours. Students may have been able to take their books home with them, but they didn't have a way to actually interact with or engage the material. With the new technology apps and other technological advances, they have more flexibility to access and engage academia from home. This accessibility could translate as much greater interest in learning and more successful outcomes. Students can pace themselves. Blended learning that uses apps, games, or measurable programs to teach concepts allows students to engage the material at their own pace. This helps to balance a classroom that contains both quick and slow students. Every student can practice and tackle new material with timing that is perfect just for them. It can promote deeper learning, reduce stress, and increase student satisfaction. Teachers can become more engaged with their students. Blended learning presents an increased opportunity for students to connect with their professors and teachers. They can connect via email, through progress reports on the program, or on message boards. This learning style promotes a number of effective means for teachers and students to become more engaged with one another. In the end, both parties can benefit from this shift in the relationship. Teachers can stay in touch with students' progress, while students can ask more questions and gain deeper knowledge. At the end, blended learning can be fun for everyone, and this should not be underestimated. But is it really better than old-fashioned face-to-face learning environment? A meta-analysis found that on average, students in online learning conditions performed modestly better than those receiving face-to-face instruction. The advantage over face-to-face classes was significant in those studies contrasting blended learning with traditional face-to-face instruction, but not in those studies contrasting purely online with face-to-face conditions. Studies using blended learning also tended to involve additional learning time, instructional resources, and course elements that encourage interactions among learners. This confounding leaves open the possibility that one or all of these other practice variables contributed to the positive outcomes for blended learning. According to the Dubai Future Foundation, this phase could be seen as a pilot project. Governments will be able to use this experience to develop and improve platforms for distance and lifelong learning. New guidelines, regulations, and platforms will be created to accommodate the high demand for distance learning. It's already clear that educational technology startups are benefiting as more and more students are moving toward online learning at this time. India's edtech market, for example, is projected to be worth $2 billion by 2021, based on 9.6 million users. On a global level, there are valid concerns that low-income countries will fall behind when it comes to implementing blended learning methods, and that might affect the right of education to some children. It also gives an opportunity for the global community to come together and invest in infrastructures that would help strengthening education systems around the world. and ensures every child around the world have access to a quality education. At the end, I am hopeful that this time will not simply go back to normal. The education system in the UAE needs big improvements, and this pandemic has exposed the true nature of our education, both the good and the bad. As a community, we need to work together and work hard to create a new normal and take advantage of what we learned this year to create a blended learning systems where students can be truly in control of their own education.